This is Corinne Bloom, and you're listening to Raw Conversations. So I want to be as quick and concise as possible when I talk about this. So if those of you who have followed me, I talk a lot about love. I talk a lot about heart, authenticity, vulnerability, our humanity. And really, love and heart to me are at the core of everything because it all boils down to that. It's really simple. The experience of being human can feel really complicated, but it's because we make it complicated. And the way that I understand kind of density, you could see that as both something that's physical or energetic, is the layer upon layer of experiences we have. And as humans, we take experiences and they can become our armor. They can also become our wisdom, right? But they can be, they're literally like layers that we paint on top. And a lot of life is about there's no coincidence that we say peeling back the layers of the onion. So if you were to peel back the layers of the onion to get to the core of who we are, what you would find there is love, because we are made of love. I don't care how cliche that sounds. I don't care how many songs have been written about that. That is the eternal truth. So I was listening to a very old talk with Collier. Probably many of you won't know who he is. He's a beautiful being. And there was a few things that he said that really just struck me to be so truthful and inspired me to come on and just have a little chat about it here. So one of the things he said is, an amazing being told him this. So I quote, "The love you withhold is the pain that you carry lifetime after lifetime." That is so profound because we are so resistant to pain. We live in a culture that hates pain, does anything to avoid pain. Take the pill, find the distraction, find a way to numb it, find a way to escape it, transcend it, anything to avoid it, anything to just not be with it. And what's so ironic about that is the very thing that we want and the very thing that we need, which is love, whether it be self-love that we experience internally, a love from a partner, love from a parent, love from a friend. We need that because it's our oxygen. We need it like we need air because we are that, right? Without love, we are a fish out of water. But the irony is that the very thing that we need, we are keeping ourselves from because we're so afraid of pain. We're so afraid of pain. And so because we're afraid of pain and because we're trying to protect ourselves from pain, from being hurt, from heartache, we paste on layer upon layer upon layer. There's the density, right? There's the experience after experience after experience of, ooh, that hurt. And the irony again is the more that we avoid pain, the more layers we build, the further and further away we become from ourselves, our core, and from love, which is the one thing that we fundamentally need. So do you get it? Do you get what I'm saying? That it's like the very thing that we're needing, we're almost guaranteeing that it's like we're walking in the opposite direction from where we're trying to get to. And so then we wonder, why are we lost so much? Why are we confused so often? Why do we suffer so greatly? Because we're walking away from ourselves and we're walking away from the very thing. If there's one thing that we need in life, we're walking away from it. So another thing that he said was the time that we're going into. This was, I think he was talking back it must have been the early 90s. He says, it's all about love and fear is withholding love. Again, so profound. If you followed me from the beginning of the first lockdown, my first video was about coming back to heart. And maybe the second or third video was about choosing. We are at a choice point where we can either choose the path of love or choose the path of fear. And in the last year and a half, that has been exemplified in my mind so clearly. I can see those that are walking down the path of love and those that are walking down the path of fear. And they are two completely different realities, parallel realities, but completely different. And that statement is so profound that fear is withholding love. Because I know that if I'm in a state of love, the love can, even if fear arises, the love can hold fear. Love can alchemize fear by embracing it. Again, not resisting it. If I resist the fear, if I push it away, if I distract myself, or even if I overindulge it and I go into a state of anxiety and panic, which makes you really lose your rational mind, which again, we're seeing in the world. People that are driven by fear don't act rationally. And this is where so much judgment comes in, and blame and violence, and whether it's verbal, emotional, or physical. When we are in a state of fear, we are pulling ourselves further and further away from love. And the more we pull ourselves away from love, the more fearful we get. But if we turn around and we embrace our fear, we bring our fear as if it's just this little child that's scared, and we bring them into our arms and we hold them and we love them. We say, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared. I love you no matter what. Then we alchemize fear into love. Love has the capacity to hold everything, to transmute and alchemize everything. Everything. There's nothing that love can't transmute. But it means that instead of walking away from, we have to walk towards the fear, towards the pain, towards the suffering, ultimately towards ourselves, because this is all just an experience. The pain, the suffering, the fear is just an experience of being human. And we're all fundamentally vulnerable, and that is not a weakness. That is actually a beautiful thing, that to be human is to be vulnerable. We feel a lot. We sense a lot. We've been detached from that. We've been taught to detach ourselves from that. And again, this is why we're so confused and lost all the time. But if we can embrace the fact that we are vulnerable, and if we can embrace this concept that it's not even a concept, but the experience that what we feel is part of the human experience. And if we can walk towards it, and therefore towards ourselves, we will always come back to a place of love. And if we come back to a place of love, we come back to a place of safety. Now, the last thing I want to say that he said, and this I thought was really beautiful as well. He said the definition of a warrior originally meant not being afraid of who you are. So not this warrior that goes out and battles and kills and fights and protects. And, that's an altogether different type of warrior. And I've always had a bit of an issue when in the kind of quote unquote spiritual community, spiritual warrior, and it has this kind of combative, I will fight against. And I get it in the context of how we perceive a warrior to be. Okay, that's a positive use of it, right? But I always felt like it's missing something. Because actually I love this, that a warrior means to not be afraid of who you are, because again, going back to heart, cœur, and the definition of courage, comes from cœur, comes from heart. So the courage to be who we are, to not be afraid of who we are, that's what makes us a warrior, and a warrior of love. Not a warrior that combats fear, but a warrior that embodies love, because it is not afraid of itself. It has learnt not to combat its fear, but embrace its fear and turn it into love. That is the true warrior. And for me, that needs to be the new definition of being a warrior in these times, now more than ever. Now more than ever. It's not about fighting, it's about embodying love. It's about this is an invitation to come back home to ourselves. We have been led astray. We have been led so far away from ourselves, and we're going to continue to be led far away from ourselves if we follow this trajectory that we're on right now. And there are so many distractions. Social media being a massive one, and I'm not poo-pooing it. There are ways of using it in a positive way. Everything in moderation. Everything is, what I always say to my clients is, it's less about the action and it's more about the intention and the motivation behind that action. If you are doing something to distract yourself and move further away from yourself, then it's not a good thing. If you are using something as a form to express who you authentically are, to connect, to have a positive effect, to be of service, then you're using something for the greater good. So I just wanted to drop this off as an invitation to not withhold love from yourself. That if something is scary or painful, if it causes suffering, go towards it and into it and embrace it with love so that you can alchemize it and that you can come back to yourself. You can remember. I don't even want to say find home, but remember home, because it's there. Never went away. We just walked away from it or we forgot it, but it's always been here. It's right here. Everything is right here. Inside, not outside. The guidance we seek is not outside, it's inside. The authority we seek is not outside, it's inside. The love we seek is not outside, it's inside. The answers are not outside, they're inside. We can support each other from the outside in, but it has to come from the inside out. A seed can't grow, on the table or in thin air. It has to be planted deeply into the soil. We're no different. So I'm posing this as an invitation to walk towards yourself, and that might mean you have to walk through pain. Everything that you're trying to resist is what you need to look at. Everything that you're yearning for from the outside is what you need to give to yourself. And all of it comes back to love. So stop withholding love from yourself because it feels too scary to go through the pain. Walk towards it and you will receive everything that you've been looking for. And that will change not only you and your perspective on life, but it will change the entire world. And that's where we are right now. That's what we have to do. There's like time is running out. This is a strong and loving invitation to come back home to love. Thank you for listening. Loving you all from afar.